Welcome to Let's Chat with Derick. I am your host, Derick. I am pleased to introduce today's guest. She is an independent author, personal trainer, and fitness advocate. I am joined by Amanda Sterczyk. Amanda, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Derick. Thanks for having me on the show. It's good to see you virtually.
Yeah, it's great to see you too. It's been a while since we last did a segment together. I would say probably about 4.5, maybe 5 years ago, the last time we spent time together doing a segment.
That's right. Yeah.
How are you guys doing? How is you and your family dealing with the pandemic so far?
Well, we're sort of socially reclusive introverts as a as a pod. So for the most part, it's not a huge issue about going out. My kids are older; they're 17 and 19, and I am noticing as it drags on, they are wanting to spend more time with us. I don't know if they're bored of movies and binge watching and PlayStation, or if they're just feeling the need for connection. But they hang out with us a little bit more in the evening. So we've been binge watching Top Gear, our son's favorite show.
Nice. It's great. I think it has, it has brought families together more than we ever have before, right? Because many people have, unfortunately, have either had their jobs suspended or they've lost their jobs. Where do you find yourself with your work at the moment?
So I was full-time working with Diabetes Canada. We were laid off at the end of March. The wage subsidy from the federal government has allowed them to bring us back for the next month or so, and then it's up in the air after that. And on the fitness side, I was scheduled in late April to run fall prevention workshops for the Ottawa Public Library. I'd done a series with them last fall, and they were really popular for seniors in Ottawa. But unfortunately, those have been postponed indefinitely.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate because I think one of the issues right now, probably for many seniors who find themselves in isolation, is that they don't have that same fitness routine, right? The trainers like yourself are not available to them. Let's not forget, not every senior has access to technology and being able to do a workout. Because I've talked to some other personal trainers who can do it through Zoom and that sort of thing. But I think many times we forget that seniors don't have that at their disposal. With that in mind, what can they do now? I know a lot of seniors are perhaps fearful of even just going outside, but if they want to stay active, what do you recommend?
Right. So, and you're absolutely right. I mean, I think the guidance from the public health authorities is if you're over the age of 70, that you should be staying home as much as possible. So it makes it a little bit tougher in terms of trying to stay physically active. And a lot of seniors were doing fitness classes, right? So it was, two birds, one stone, where it was the physical activity they needed in their life, but it was also the social connection that they might be missing now as well.
Yeah.
So what I recommend is just, be a little bit more inconvenient or slow about how you do things in life. Like, I know as I'm getting older, my memory is getting a little bit fuzzier sometimes. And
good. I'm not the only one. That's good.
But so sometimes I'll run up and down the stairs several times in the day because I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot something upstairs, or, oh, I need to go back into that room. So I sort of encourage seniors to, embrace the forgetfulness as a way to nudge themselves to move more, right? The key is just every minute of movement counts. So the more they can get up and move around throughout the day is going to help them in terms of maintaining health, improving physical fitness, reducing the risk of a fall. And, when you think about squats, I know you do squats. I do squats. Everybody does squats. Really, they don't realize it, that it's a functional fitness module in terms of, sitting and standing, right? Getting in and out of chairs, whatever kind of chair it is basically a squat. So, if you're sitting in your chair and you think, oh, I should be getting up and moving around, stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down, repeat it 4 or 5 times, and then you've just done a set of squats.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you could do leg raises, right? While you're binge watching your favorite show. I think we forget that there are so many things, that we can do with our own body weight. We don't necessarily, need a bunch of equipment, right?
Exactly. Well, and that's where I started doing the fall prevention workshops with the library, because I have written 2 books specifically geared to seniors, with exercises they can do at home without special equipment. They don't need to get sweaty. They don't need to be out and about. So perfect time right now. The most complicated thing I asked them to have for one of the exercises is 2 empty paper towel tubes.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Just raise your
you mentioned your books. Do you have them there with you?
I do. So
let's show them off here.
Yeah. So Balance in Your Body, How Exercise Can Help You Avoid a Fall. So I wrote this one last year. What happened is I was invited to do a fall prevention workshop. I was volunteering at one of the community health centers. And they said, do you think you could come in and, teach some of the other instructors? So I started pulling together some information. And I thought, well, I know what I teach when, doing personal training and group fitness classes for seniors. But I wanted to look at what else was available out there. And what I found was there was a lot of complicated exercises, really? Specialized equipment that people might not be able to afford or even want in their homes, or maybe don't have the space in their homes if they've downsized and they're in an apartment, and no modifications, right? So what if I need to make this easier? How do I make this exercise simpler? Because the level at which I'm starting is, this exercise is too advanced for me, but I want to exercise. And then the other issue was a lot of exercises that involved having to get on the floor. Okay. And not all seniors want to get on the floor. Yeah. Some of them can't. I used to have seniors who would come to my exercise classes and they go, yeah, I can get down on the floor, but I'm worried I'm going to fall and I'm embarrassed about how long it takes me to get up again, and I don't want people watching me. So my very first book was standing exercises with modifications where they could sit down if they needed to. And it's been hugely popular.
Amanda, can you give just a couple of examples of some exercises that maybe some seniors would find difficult that you've modified?
Yes. So, I mean, the first one is squats, right? You often see a lot of stuff around squats, and people maybe they don't feel confident to do the exercise the way it's being described, or they don't have the strength. They don't have the leg strength.
Okay.
So I've switched it up to call it a counter squat. Okay. So they basically are hanging on to a kitchen counter or a bathroom counter, and they're using that as their stability to begin the exercise. So they're starting to, and then I walk them through step by step what steps are involved, but they're always hanging on to something. And then and a further modification of that is then if they do have issues with weak muscles and the strength hasn't been developed yet, then it's like a half squat as a counter squat. So they're still hanging on, they're still doing the same motion, but they're not focused on how low they go, right? It's just a little, do the hip hinge, get the hips back, try to lower down, but with control and hanging on to the counter.
Your second book is more specific to actual falls, right? To fall prevention.
So they both are fall prevention, right?
Okay.
So and actually one thing that I did do in the first book is I have a lot of stuff on visual and vestibular exercises, because our balance system is actually pretty complex, and it involves your eyes, your inner ear, and your somatosensory system. So these are sort of the nerve endings in the joints helping figure out where your body is in 3D space. So as we get older, our eyes get weaker. The inner ear, we stop doing as many side to side turns. You see that often with older adults. Maybe they have trouble shoulder checking in the car.
Okay.
And so it's teaching them like exercises that sort of focus on balance, strength, and mobility of all your joints. So then with my second book, Balance 2.0, this is me, this is my dad.
Nice.
And he had in late 2018 into late 2019, he had a series of health issues that required multi-day hospital stays. So in late 2019, as he was coming out of the hospital on the last day, he was quite weak. And my mother and I were both really concerned about him falling. And he'd have to pick up one leg to help him get in and out of the car, like actually physically with his hands. So I said, would you be willing to let me come over and work with you one-on-one, 2 to 3 times a week to help you build up your strength? And he said, yes. And within 2 days of us starting to work together, already he was stronger. He had to go to a medical appointment and they noticed, oh, you're more upright and you're walking better. And he went from being hunched over, always using a walker, to being upright on his own and being able to maneuver around without it. So as we were kind of going through working different exercises, I asked him, can I write about this? Can I share with people like how me working with you doing these foundational exercises that don't require special equipment have helped you get stronger and helped you prevent a fall? So he said,
it's
sure.
so important, right? Because, I don't know if you know my father's situation. He had his third stroke going back to February of last year, and pretty much paralyzed the whole left side of his body. And now my father was in a good position where, he did suffer the stroke in Florida, but they had insurance and he got immediate help. And you know how important that is,
right,
for somebody that's a victim of stroke. But even coming back to Ottawa, we had the means to get him proper care, daily exercising, and to go from where he was completely, his whole left side compromised, to doing 45-minute walks a day without his walker now. It just goes to show you. And I know, a lot of people don't have you, and perhaps, don't have, a caregiver like my father has, but, having the tools like your books available to people so that they can just flip through it and start their own routine. It's incredibly important, because when you have a stroke, it's not like the hospital, says, hey, and come on back, once a week.
Right.
Pretty much when they say you're ready to go home, you go home and you're left to your own devices, right? And you have to find your own resources.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy to hear that he's doing better after all his health scares. But you're absolutely right. I mean, once you get out of the hospital, you need to have a plan in place and hopefully have the support that you can do it. So, I was fortunate that I was able to go help my dad, and he was willing to accept my help. And we all saw how much it helped him and how he improved. And, with physical activity guidelines, there's 3 sort of thresholds, right? Like, we're not all The Rock. We're not trying to crush it and have these strength gains. I mean, some people do want the strength gains, and that's great that they're working on that if that's their goal. But, the other 2 important ones for any of us who are, just wanting to maintain our lives and reduce the risk of chronic diseases and premature death is, optimal health, right? Maintaining a good status quo. But then the more important one for seniors is prevent decline.
Right.
And the prevent decline and the maintain health kind of go hand in hand. So the way I wrote my books, and it was kind of a whole family affair. My daughter actually did the illustrations for us, and my husband was the model for the illustrations. So I'm just going to hold it up and show you. Every exercise is sort of 2 pages. So it's a paperback. So the idea is you can open up these 2 pages. You've got illustrations. You've got step-by-step, like here's how to start, here's what you do, how do you make it easier, do you want to make it harder? So if they want to just take one exercise, they can open the book, look at this, give it a try, and, and then if they want to go on to the next one, there's more exercises. And what I did with this book is, whereas the first book is all standing exercises with possibility to modify if they need to sit down or hang on to a chair, this one is divided into 3 groupings. So there's standing exercises, there's sitting exercises, and there's lying down exercises. But the key is all of the lying down exercises can be done on a bed if you're not comfortable getting on the floor. So, it's not like
which is very helpful, right? Because then, if you want to get up, it's much easier to get up, throw your legs around the side of the bed and stand up. And as you said, for many seniors, if they get on the ground, they could have a difficult time if they have mobility issues getting back up.
Exactly. And I mean, there are some floor exercises that don't translate well onto a bed. Like you wouldn't want someone going into a bird dog on a bed because it would be a little wobbly and it might not be safe for them.
Right.
So
I wanted to talk about, I know obviously impacted, you can't do that necessarily one-on-one or group sessions in person, but as I understand it, the Ottawa Public Library, you're working through them to provide some free workouts for seniors. Is that right?
that's right. So we've and going forward, there may be more. So we've so far set up 3 Friday mornings at 10 a.m. So the first one is standing only exercises. The second one is seated exercises. And the third week is floor or bed exercises. So
Okay.
again, the safe ones that if you want to lie in your bed and have your iPad or computer propped up to follow along, you can do that. And what they've done, which I think is fantastic, is in the links they've set up on their website, on people just go on. You don't need to register. You just need to have internet connectivity, computer or iPad. And there's a little explanation at the bottom and a link for, if you've never used Zoom before, follow this. So
Okay.
that then when you go in, you can say, you click this big green button, it says join us online. So the morning of the exercises, they just click that, they'll come up. I'll be here a little bit further away so you can see my whole body for the exercises, but then we'll kind of go through from my home to theirs. Here's the exercises. And similarly to how I've set it up in my book, here's what you need to think about in terms of modifications if you need to adjust or modify as we're going through them. And then I will lead them through a half-hour workout.
Excellent. And so that's just on the Ottawa Public Library website. All the information's available up there.
It is, yes. They can search for seniors fitness to find it. And it's super easy they've set it up, they have information, and as well as detail about, especially for the standing exercises, I wanted people to make sure they understood that they need to have a sturdy chair, no chairs with wheels,
Yes.
or a wall nearby, so that
Okay.
if they do need to modify during the exercises, they're able to. They don't have to worry about running off and trying to find things. And then when we do some of the leg exercises, right, I myself am going to be hanging onto the chair to show them that, okay, we're going to be doing balance and strength with this exercise. So don't be shy about hanging onto that chair while you're lifting one leg off the ground repeatedly.
Oh, that sounds great, Amanda. That's a great thing for you and, of course, the Ottawa Public Library to offer. How can people get a copy of your books as well if they're interested?
So I have a whole box here at my house because I normally, when I do the workshops, we have them available for sale afterwards. So people can reach out to me. They're $20 each. Taxes are included. And I'm happy to do physically distanced deliveries around the city.
Okay.
If they're interested in ebook version of it, it's available on Amazon.ca. Eventually, right now, Amazon is not allowing paperbacks to be shipped into Canada. So if they wanted to order it without going through me, they can eventually, but right now they're not shipping to Canada.
All
So
right.
down the road, that's possible too.
Can they get in touch with you through your website then?
They can, yes.
Okay, terrific. We'll make sure that we post that website, and of course, we want people to comment below. Let us know what you think of the interview, and if there's some exercises that you as a senior are doing at home that you'd like to share with us. Let us know. What types of exercises that you're doing and that work for you. Amanda, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Derick. I really had a great time chatting with you again, and I'm so happy to share this information with seniors in the city.
All right. Be safe, you and your family. We'll talk to you again.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.